Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're discussing a few little things. We're going to be discussing, of course, the latest developments, whether are they or are they not coming, and we're also going to be discussing Harry's security case, and I'm going to drop in a little bit about Serena Williams and her very terrible behaviour on court, and we're going to talk about that and a few other things as well. If you like this style of video where we're getting to the truth of something, where I utilise my 25 plus years experience as a UK therapist in the hope that it helps you understand human behaviour a little bit better. I raise awareness especially to things like narcissism, and of course at the moment Meghan and Harry seem to be at the forefront, and they are the gift that keeps on giving. So if this is for you, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future uploads, and if I've caught your interest thus far, go grab your drink of choice, sit back, relax as we get into some tea, some truth with a touch of therapeutic psychology. So hey everyone, I'm buzzing at the moment because I have just recorded my first podcast, which will be going up next week. I am so excited. I just chatted to some lovely ladies that came on. The first one was a little bit nervous, but they were amazing, and we just chatted. It flowed. And yes, of course, the topic of conversation was mainly Harry and Meghan. Well, all Harry and Meghan. But it was just really interesting to get different people's perspectives and how they feel about everything. So if you want to join the podcast, the next one, then email me. So my email is here, emsandfriends21@gmail.com. Just put in the reference bar podcast and I will add you to the next one, and I will start getting some people together. If those of you who've already emailed me and you couldn't make this one, I will also then send you a link to the next one, which maybe hopefully will be in a couple of weeks time. I'm going to try and do 2 a month, one every couple of weeks, and see how we go from there. Hopefully it will pick up and become a regular thing. So yeah, so why are we here? Obviously a lot of things are coming out. We've now had the result of Harry's security. We know that he did not get his security. As predicted, he's thrown his toys out the pram and is blaming everybody. Well, let's just say his family. He's blaming his family for the fact that they haven't protected him. And I just find it bonkers how the mainstream media, who know that the royal family do not have any say in this, they know how Ravek works, are colluding in that. It's like we have just got so lost, in society that the people that are supposed to be journalists are just no longer just presenting the truth anymore. It's just whatever gets them clicks and views. So of course Harry's blaming his brother, he's blaming his father, and it's and he's putting out statements and saying it's not about the place, because obviously people are saying, well, why not stay in Buckingham Palace? And I think, as I've said before, I think that they don't want to. They want to come and go in secret. They want the security, but if they were really worried about being safe, then they would stay at a royal residence. So it's not even really about that, which we know. Of course, reports are coming out that perhaps it's now just Meghan coming. And in all fairness, I think that was always going to be the case. I know people say that she's not going to set foot here and something's going to come up. And I said that I did think that something would come up regarding the kids, because she's stubborn and she won't be told no, and they're using Invictus as a shield, as a buffer to combat. Because I think if it was coming back where any member of the public could rock up, I don't think she'd do it, because she'd be terrified. But when it's controlled to some degree, like with Invictus, because let's face it, most people that go to Invictus probably, even if they don't necessarily like Harry, they will still support because they don't want to ruin their chance of being within Invictus. And even if they don't particularly like Meghan, the odds are that they're not really going to be that vocal about it. They might be, I don't know. But I think Meghan feels that maybe under the protection of Invictus that she won't get booed. I don't know. But I think that there is every chance that she'll swan in. This is why it makes no sense whatsoever, because I have got something which I'm going to say at the end, and because I did find something out which I found very interesting, because obviously, and it's connected to them going on holiday allegedly in Portugal, even though there's been no footage, no photographs, no nothing. So a lot of all of this stuff that's kind of going on, I do think is a little bit of deflection, because what's happening at the moment is Prince Harry, so what's coming out is that Prince Harry faces fresh scrutiny as thousands of US government documents are set to be released. And this is about his visa application. So this is coming out. We've also got coming up his Daily Mail. Is it the Daily Mail court case? The result of that. So that's coming out as well. And let's face it, we've still got all this stuff that's going on with Sensible. So there's a lot of negativity surrounding Harry. And I think they're trying to eclipse that by putting out all these media, saturating the media with all this will they, won't they come to the UK. And of course, like I said, at the moment, Harry's like, I'm doing everything in my power to try and sort something out. It's like, well, if that's the case, then why weren't you doing that anyway? You know, it's like you can't have your cake and eat it. You can't leave the royal family, leave the working royal aesthetic. It's like, you know, walking away from a business, you know, your job, and being like, yeah, but I still want to keep the company car and I still want the pension. It's like, it doesn't work like that. It's a job. You don't get to keep the benefits of that. You walked away. So I think that, yeah, a lot of this is, so apparently it's like the US State Department is set to begin releasing thousands of pages of documents concerning Prince Harry at the end of July, following legal action brought by the Heritage Foundation. Court filings reveal that officials have spent months processing 307 documents totaling 2,487 pages, which could provide an unusual window into how the Duke of Sussex is discussed within American government circles. The conservative think tank has previously pursued Harry's visa records through a separate lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security. However, courts upheld the prince's privacy rights over his actual application in 2025. The Heritage Foundation subsequently filed a fresh proceeding against the State Department, seeking alternative documentation held by the State Department about Harry. Their lawyers contended that Harry must either have omitted his drug history from his application or receive preferential treatment from immigration officials. Judge Carl J. Nichols of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia ruled in March 2025 that certain case-related documents could be disclosed, but the visa application was private. So, yeah. That is going to be very interesting, and I think that is something. I mean, it's being circulated, but it's not widely being circulated, and I think that's very interesting to me. I think, you know, it's always amazing how some media will happily spread all of this news when it comes to being sycophantic towards Harry and Meghan, but when it comes to something that's important, that's very crucial, it's like it doesn't get circulated as much. And so, yeah, so we have that, and then we obviously have everything else that's going on. And I think that for me, like I said, I think that they do this a lot. They use this deflection tactic to distract from things that are potentially bad. And that's interesting, because to me, if Harry thought that there was nothing in this, that he'd done everything right, that he'd not done anything wrong, he would be like, show it, don't care, do what you want, not, really doesn't faze me, I haven't done anything wrong. But the fact that this is all being done a bit cloak and daggerish, smoke and mirrors, deflection, let's try and, like one hand's doing one while the other hand's doing something else, tells me that Harry's very nervous about this, that there are some things about this that he doesn't want to be released. And I do wonder if this is why he wants the IPP status, because probably in his mind that then he gets protected with things like this. So, but of course this has not come about. So what's now coming out with Harry's security is apparently that his so-called security team have found credible threats. And I don't know whether they truly believe that Ravik is stupid. I mean, clearly they're not, given that they didn't buy Harry's so-called stalker that turned up out of nowhere. But I think that they it's like Harry has had reviews done, even though he'll say that he hasn't, but he's had reviews done. And the fact that they have said no means that they have assessed the situation again and thought, no, he doesn't qualify. He is not someone special. He walked away from being a working royal, regardless of the fact that he also gets protection when he comes to the UK. 28 days notice, Ravik will assess the situation and give him security. If he stays in a royal residence, he gets security. So if you're that bothered about security and you're that worried, why are you turning down a royal residence then? How is it that you're able to go to all these other places without said security, but when it comes to the UK, which is actually pretty safe in all fairness, but you're turning down the one place where you would be safe? Because the King and Queen can walk around perfectly fine. We've just recently had the wonderful Princess of Wales doing the 3-peak challenge with no entourage, with no, blacked out vehicles, none of that. She just literally just did it. Albeit that the Cult Squad think it's AI, even though there's so much footage out there that shows that, because it's like, if that's AI, then it must be that everyone else is. It's just ridiculous. Their jealousy of her is just insane. But she manages to do that. They manage to be out and about and do things without all of this fuss and all it, and they're far more important than Harry and Meghan. But we know this is all made up. Like I say, Harry had to make up a stalker just to make his thing. But the thing is, Ravik isn't stupid. They would have assessed all of this and seen if any of it was credible. What concerns me is that how far is Harry willing to go to get this? We've already had him attempting to make up this stalker and probably paid this woman to turn up. It's like, he's that deluded, and I think he's taking lessons from Meghan, that would he then do something to get this? And I genuinely think, yes, he would. I hate to say it, but I genuinely think he would. And that is what's concerning me, is how far these two are willing to go to prove a point, how far they're willing to go to get what they want. And I've had people say to me, is she dangerous? And I think, yeah, I don't think she literally get her hands dirty, but people that she could consort with, yeah, I do think so. And that is concerning. And the royal family really do need to get these two out the line of succession. Whether or not, because it's not a simple case of just taking them off. I think people sometimes think that are not in the UK, that it's just a simple case of taking them off the line. It's not. There's a lot of things that have to be put in place for that to happen. And maybe they are doing that because it takes some time to sort that out. Maybe they are looking into doing that, possibly, because then it takes out anything else that could potentially happen with regards to these two, because they're so untrustworthy. They are so dangerous, in my opinion, in how they just unravel. The way Harry is, you can see by Harry that he's unraveling. You can see by her, in a sense, there's not collapse here going on. That's when they are at their most dangerous, when they go through things like that. And I don't think that should be taken lightly. So, yeah, but I think it will be interesting to see how this plays out, because I do expect her to turn up. I know some people say that she's banned from the UK, but I don't know who puts these things out. But that's just not something that's possibly done especially within the royal family. So I kind of wrote this because I wanted to read it because it's a little bit more in depth. So firstly, this is the thing, there's no evidence to say that Meghan has been banned from the UK, because you've also got to remember that after they left Megxit, because that's when people are saying that she was escorted out and banned from coming back, but she came back. She came to Manchester. So she's already been back to the UK. She's already been back to the UK for the Queen's funeral, and they came for the Jubilee. So this theory of her being banned is a little bit silly, in all fairness. I mean, should she? Yeah, but that's beside the point. You've also got the fact that the royal family and the UK government, which the UK government would be the ones that would be doing something, they are separate entities. And the King cannot personally tell Border Force, which is who it is, don't let Meghan in, and they just go, yeah, okay, we won't let her in. It's like, it doesn't quite work that way. The thing is, what people need to remember is that he's got you know, I know it sounds very like, oh, he's the king, but he doesn't really have, that's why it's called soft power. He doesn't have any legal right to do that, you know, especially against private individuals or members of his own family. And you've also got the fact that since the UK is a constitutional monarchy, immigration decisions are made by the government. Now, here's the thing. If for Meghan to be banned from coming, this is what would have to happen. And I've written this down so I don't say it wrong. So the Home Secretary would have to exclude her because the presence was deemed not conclusive to the public good. Something usually reserved for extremists, serious criminals, or people considered national security risks. Now, I get it. We can all say, given some of the things that we know, that she might even fit that bracket. But that's illegal. This is legally. She would have to be subject to an immigration order or criminal restriction preventing entry. None of those circumstances apply to Meghan. And this is, you know, we can argue what we think and feel, but this is legality here. Like I said, Meghan has travelled to the UK several times, stepping back from royal duties, including the Platinum Jubilee, Elizabeth II for the state funeral. And obviously, like I say, also when she was, well, actually, no, that was at the same time, wasn't it? She was in Manchester. But that's what they originally came over here for. That a lot of things get mixed up. What we're seeing is that there's obviously the confusion with regards to Harry and security. So he's basically saying that Meghan can't come over here because of security. And I think there's also some wishful thinking by people that put out YouTube videos or commentary where they hope that Meghan is banned from coming. And look, do I agree with these people? Yeah, I think, you know, should ban her from coming. But there is a difference between wanting something to the legality of something. And this is why it is so frustrating when you're a YouTuber or you're someone on social media that tries to find the truth, and there's so much put out that's not the truth. And unfortunately, people believe it. You know, they don't question it. They don't, you know, they'll see somebody they trust. And I get that, even like with me. And I always say, don't just automatically trust what I say. I mean, it's lovely that people do, but look it up, because I will always try and bring you facts and evidence. Or at the very least, if it's something that maybe I don't necessarily have evidence, but I'm seeing something, I would explain my thought process so you understand how I got there, like with the kids, alleged kids. So I hope that kind of clears things up, that I don't, yeah, she's not banned from coming to the UK, but she should be. So yeah, just saying. But anyway, so the thing that I was going to talk to you about, we're obviously seeing reports that Meghan and Harry apparently have this property in Portugal. We're being told they're over there on holiday as a family, even though, like I say, there's been no footage, no nothing, but she's gone very quiet on her Instagram. Now, what was interesting is I did a little bit of a Google research, and what piqued my interest was something that come up, which was, and I'll put this up here, which was, and I thought, I wonder if that's a little bit of a, almost like a, you know, when you put something out and it's not strictly true, but there's an element of truth to something. I thought, so what come out was, this post, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's Portugal home is reportedly getting a Soho House inspired makeover. And I thought, that's interesting. Interesting choice of words. Now, why would you want a Soho House makeover? So I did a little bit of research, and sure as eggs, I don't know why that's the saying, sure as eggs, or I just made that up. Is it a saying? So guess where there is a Soho House opening? You got it, in Lisbon, in Portugal. And so here's what I'm thinking. Now, remember when she went to Sydney and there was that link between the fact that she went with Marcus Anderson, and there was a Sydney Soho House being constructed and is opening very soon, or is open maybe. I think that she has possibly gone to Portugal with Marcus Anderson. Hence why she's been very secretive on her Instagram, because she's not going to put photographs up, because people are going to start thinking, well, why haven't you put photographs up of you, Harry, and the kids? You know, you're putting everything up and everything else, but I think she's potentially gone there either with Harry and Marcus Anderson. And then what they're probably going to do then is, on the way back, is stop over at the UK, do the thing, and then travel back. I think she's a networker. I think she networks for Marcus Anderson. I think, in all fairness, if I'm going to be really honest, I think this was what the whole thing was, even with aligning with Harry. I think that Marcus set them up. I think she wanted it set up, and I think he made it happen. And I think the plan was to utilize being part of the royal family, utilize that and leverage it against networking with the rich, the famous, all of these people, the part of the elite that probably people like Marcus and Meghan would have no way of getting. You know, she kind of went as far as she could with the Mulroneys, and then it's like, well, we need to up a level here. So they orchestrated this maneuvering Meghan into Harry's orbit through Marcus Anderson, like a pimp, basically. And I think that's all she does. I think she networks for him, and she uses the connection that she has with the royal family to network into these inner circles that would have been, those doors would have been closed to her prior to that. And so I think potentially that this is what they're doing in Portugal. I think that she's over there possibly with Marcus Anderson, maybe even with Harry. And like I say, they've gone over to Portugal, they're doing this networking, and then they're going to stop off at the UK, do the thing with the UK, and then fly back. That makes more sense to me than they've just popped for a holiday with the alleged kids to Portugal. And I think that they've used this, now Harry is worried about security, as the reason why they now no longer can bring the kids. And as I said in a previous video, I said that this was going to happen. And I know I'm not the only one. I know other people have said it, but I'm saying just from my perspective, I said that this is what they're potentially going to do. I don't think she's going to miss an opportunity to appear on stage. I think it's, you know, especially because she knows how many people are against her in Invictus. So I think that she's going to try and do something. Either that, if she doesn't come, then she's certainly going to try and pull the attention away from Harry, because that's what she does. We've seen her do it before. Do you remember when she left Invictus in Canada? First thing she did was start putting stuff on her Instagram about, oh, I've brought the kids treats from Canada and thanks Papa. And she started then putting things up on her Instagram to draw traffic away, because that's what she does. She hijacks the algorithm. Anything that's to do with, she's done it recently with Meghan maybe coming to Wimbledon to support Serena Williams, that's hijacking the algorithm. So now when you if you're putting in Wimbledon, the chances are then Meghan and Serena will come up, because she knows that obviously Catherine is appearing, which she has today. She's appeared today, and here are some lovely pictures of the lovely Catherine. So yeah, and I just want to quickly add about Serena. Now, it doesn't surprise me that these two, and I don't think they're friends now, because I don't think a narcissist and a narcissist can really be friends, because their egos will just kind of just be competing with each other. But it does not surprise me how they sort of align together, given how Serena Williams has just behaved on the court. I mean, I think it's a very poor show that she is now saying that there was an injury, that's why she couldn't do the press, the media tour that's supposed to happen. And I think knowing and putting that out there, it's almost like taking away from Maya Joint, who's the 20-year-old Australian that beat her, because it's almost like, even though she's not said it, but it's now basically saying the reason you won is because I had an injury. If I hadn't have had this injury, you wouldn't have won. And so like tainting it for her, that she won it fair and square outright. Sad, poor loser Serena couldn't handle that. And that's why I didn't want to do the press junket afterwards, because it was like, oh, I've got this injury and I can't do it. And so when you look at the fact that it's like attracts like, isn't it? This is why I've said that her fans are similar to her. They behave in a similar way to her. If you look at the fan base of the royal family, most people are just generally good people. Yeah, we might be fed up with Meghan and might say some things, but generally we're good people. People like Meghan are not. And that's why she seems to attract people that are very similar to her. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, I hope you will watch the video on Monday, and please support the podcast, because I know that sometimes when I do extra things, I don't always get the views on those videos, but I'd really love it if you could support these ladies and support the podcast, because I'd love to do this more and more. I think it's a great way to connect with you all. And I know that you're going to be kind to them in the comments, because you're a wonderful bunch. So I do hope that you will do that, because it takes a lot to come on and talk, and people can be nervous. And so be kind, which I know you will be, because you're all lovely. yeah, all the links in the description box below. Don't forget, if you want to join up to become a member, you can do. If you want to treat me to a cuppa, you can do. Amazon wishlist, ShopMy page, if you want to see what products I use on my skin and my makeup, and everything else in between. So just quickly before I go, quote of the day. Let's do a quote of the day. Quote of today is, don't worry about failures. Worry about the chances you miss when you don't even try. Now, I don't like the word failure, but that is what's written here, because I think nothing is a failure if, well, Megan is, but aside from that, nothing is a failure if you try. But I like the concept. So don't worry about failures. Worry about the chances that you miss when you don't even try. So even if it doesn't work, you try something else. So that's it. I hope you have a great weekend, whatever you're doing, and I will see you next week. And as always, you know that I love you, I appreciate you, but most of all, I respect you. Take care. Bye-bye. Mwah.